Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Inside the Birds TV with Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan, presented, of course, by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. And we promised we were going to do this because of the pod. Next pod will drop Monday at 6 a.m., and we didn't want too long to go before we recap that stunning game between the Eagles and Cowboys at the link in the season finale, with the Cowboys getting what they wanted. They came in here. They said they were going to play tough. Apparently, Jerry Jones said in an interview right before the game that they came to play and they were going to play their starters real long time. And you know what? I give them credit. It's a gutsy move. They decided to do it, risk getting somebody hurt, and you would have to think offensively at least they got some confidence. Certainly between Dak and Cedric Wilson, who's going to have to step up without Michael Gallup out. But if you look at it in the big picture, knowing that the Eagles were basically out there playing mostly 2s and 3s, they started a couple of normal starters and then got them out there. You were 17-17 in the second quarter. I kind of thought that the Eagles represented themselves pretty well there for a half,
Well, here's the story of the game. This tells you how crazy on your point about them hanging in there. At the start of the fourth quarter, both teams were tied in first downs at 18-18. That's unbelievable. Like, Minshew, he was fine. He was efficient, although he should have had a pick on the first drive. Mm-hmm. But it was, it's interesting. So we did a pregame show on Saturday, and you had a pretty good note about your sense was based on what you were hearing that Hurts would not play, which was that was actually opposite of what had been out there, and you were right. And you obviously had good sourcing on it, and it was just interesting that they took this approach. I mean, I put a note out on Twitter. The Eagles had 16 of their 22 starters out that did not even dress for the game. And we debated on the pregame show with Avant and Cosell and you and I about whether that was a good idea. We knew they were going to rest starters a lot. It was just a matter of would they play a series or not, and they made a decision not to play these guys. And some of the starters were active, the other remaining guys. But fact of the matter is they learned stuff. In our Monday show, we'll have more in-depth breakdown. In fact, we're going to have some tape notes on Wednesday. My guy, Kenny Gainwell, finally got an explosive run. It was beautiful with 4 minutes left in the half. Beautiful, breakout play down the right. But it was just interesting how they were so different how both teams approached it.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I'm not going to kill. I think, Eagles-Cowboys is such a rivalry that I'm sure – I was even seeing it on Twitter. People are adding me during the game. Why is Jonathan Gannon not blitzing? Why are they just sitting back? And nobody ever wants the Cowboys to win. I totally get it. It's frustrating. And they kind of I would say the Cowboys added a little salt to the wound, not intentionally, but after it being close for the first quarter, they get those 2 touchdowns late in the second quarter, and they start celebrating like they won the Super Bowl over the Eagles backups. And that's here in Philadelphia, and it's probably a bad look, but I have no criticisms of anybody, of coaching, of personnel decisions. The Eagles decided to do the backup thing. They want to be healthy going into the playoffs. God bless them. The Cowboys felt they needed the work. They got the work. God bless them. Okay, it's fine. Like, I'm not. We're not going to spend the next 25 minutes saying, "Well, I can't believe Jonathan Gannon on 3rd and 10 didn't." I figured by the second half, the Eagles were going to get tired. They're playing backups who aren't normally in the game for much more than 5 or 10 minutes, and the Cowboys are going to pull away, and you saw that there, especially in the third quarter. So, I will say this, Adam. I have to elevate Jeff Stoutland from great coach, perhaps, to miracle worker. Honestly, to watch this second and third string offensive line, and for Pete's sake, you had Brett Toth playing center. Watching them actually perform well against a Dallas front seven that was really only missing, I think, Micah Parsons. I mean, they had D-Law, they had Odigizua, they had Van Der Esch, they had Dorrance Armstrong. I mean, they had basically their front seven. There was in the secondary where they were missing guys like Curse and Trayvon Diggs. To watch the offensive line reset the line of scrimmage and be able to run the ball that well was impressive. I just can't believe. It still never ceases to amaze me how good their offensive linemen are.
Gainwell and Huntley had combined well over 100 yards. Huntley's quick. I mean, that's really what he has. He's got some quickness. From an analytical standpoint, apparently the way they measure running backs, apparently that's why they claimed him off waivers from the Lions. But look, they Dallas playing starters in the fourth quarter on offense. You knew they were gonna club the Eagles, and late in the game they did. Mm-hmm. But I give their, as you said, the backup offensive lineman you credit for hanging in there. They gave him pressures. You knew that was going to happen. Minshew sometimes was running for his life. That's going to happen. Yeah. He's scrambling. He's scrambling around there. You did what he could to get rid of the football, scramble drill and all that. It's funny because I thought Reed Sinnett would play for sure in the second half, but they didn't do that. They did not do that. That was
not early yet. Yeah. I actually thought he might come in like in the second quarter.
Yeah.
In fact, I texted you on something made me think he walked onto the field. Maybe I saw him and I'm like, oh my God, Reed Sinnett's coming in. No, that didn't.
Well, now Dallas did suffer an injury. Keanu Neal, who's a jack linebacker, he suffered a left elbow injury. So that's the price you pay. And Carlos Watkins is a D tackle in the rotation, got hurt in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Eagles had Sean Bradley suffer a shoulder injury. Now, we don't know if that's related to the previous issue from the car accident. We don't know, but we'll learn more. We'll have further word on all the guys who didn't dress due to injury. We'll have a little bit more on that. But to summarize it, the fact that they scored 20 points and you called it over. I cannot believe you said the game would go over. You were like pretty confident too in our pregame show. That was.
I'm kind of surprised. You guys are surprised when you have backups in the game. Usually, it's a high scoring. Preseason games are always high scoring games for that reason. Sure. And in both backups, like we expected Cooper Rush to play, he didn't. Right. So both backups that Minshew and Rush, they're not Garrett Gilberts of the world. They're not Journey. They're kind of decent backups in this league and. Both teams have some decent line. I just figured that the offenses were going to be ahead of the defenses here, and certainly there was a lot of offense. Certainly, the Dallas offense was ahead of the Eagles' second and third string defense. Oh, yeah. The Dallas starters are better than the Eagles' second and third stringers.
You think?
Shocker there. Yeah, really. So I tell you one thing: if you want to be disappointed if you're going to take anything from it, there were opportunities, not a ton, because the offense doesn't look that different. The pass offense with Minshew, he doesn't have a strong arm either, so you don't see a lot of balls go down the field. But obviously, you didn't see like Jalen Reagor get 7 or 8 balls. You didn't see J.J. Arcega-White. I mean, you saw him drop a ball that hit him in the chest in the end zone. So we constantly look for somebody other than Devontae Smith to be able to catch the ball with consistency. I know Watkins had a couple of catches, but those were, like little shallow crossers, and he turns upfield. That's great. But there's just really nothing there after Devontae Smith so far. And I don't know what to make of that. I really don't know. Adam, I went down this kind of curiosity rabbit hole. I started looking at the Colts the last few years. They've had different quarterbacks. And I did notice that in each of the last 2 years, the Colts generally only had one wide receiver who was whether it's a T.Y. Hilton or a Michael Pittman. And then if you look at their pass catchers, if you do top 5 or top 6, 4 of 6 or 5 of 7 wind up being running backs and tight ends. And we know Nick Sirianni said, I'm going to throw a lot to my running backs when I'm here. And they certainly do. It just makes you wonder, is it the fact that they have quarterbacks who don't have power arms, or is it the offensive concept, or both, that they just can't get anything from the perimeter wide receiver spot outside of a guy who's talented like Devontae Smith?
Yeah, we actually talked about that, folks. If you missed the pregame show, we exactly that you just outlined it. Yvonne, Cosell, you and I actually talked. We had a segment. Really, this was more of a, yes, it was a pregame show, but because we thought it would be treated by the Eagles like a preseason game. Preseason game. This was like a JV game. That's the way they treated it. Okay. But we actually got into that. This is a fun show because we were looking towards it was a lot of discussion on Jalen Hurts and his future, the lack of a third passing option in the offense, as you just outlined it. What we were hoping to see in this game, we saw some of it with Gainwell. That was great to see. And then we talked about a little bit of the defensive philosophy, but you don't blitz with second and third teamers. They don't know. They're not out there much. You don't want to get. You don't want their mind to spin. Like you just don't want to. You don't want to ask them to do more than they're capable of doing, which is not a lot. So you got to be careful. Oh, Milton Williams showed up. He had some flash plays in this game. He he did line some up at end that you could see that off the TV copy. So that was good to see.
There was another point on the off. Oh, so to expand on the point I'm making, I thought maybe Nick Sirianni might go into this game saying, "Hey, offense, hey, quarterback and receiver, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take some deep shots. We're gonna get you we're gonna call plays for you, Jalen Reagor, and you, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, you, Quez Watkins." And it didn't look like that. It looked like, and I'm not killing Sirianni for this, because you also don't want to tell people to run. You want the offense to take what the defense gives. You want it to be all natural, all instinctual, for the most part. And it did look like that's how they let Gardner Minshew play. They're going to run the ball, and then when the ball is snapped to him, he's going to go through progressions. He's going to go to the guy that he deems open, and for him, that's often the guy in the flat or the guy across the middle, and that's what they did. So, we don't get a chance to evaluate a different quarterback in a deep passing game without.
Yeah, that was right, because Minshew's just not. He doesn't have that type of arm. He's an intermediate to short. Again, because their top two tight ends were not playing. Richard Rodgers made his celebrated return. He played. And how about the back-to-back shovel passes? One from Greg Ward, which didn't work, and then one obviously to actually.
One to Tyree Jackson that worked.
Oh, I just bit my tongue. Yeah, it was the one to Jackson. Yes, the second one from Minshew to Jackson. Yes.
Right. So, what was the most impressive play of the game for the Eagles?
I thought the Gainwell touchdown. I
had a feeling you were going to say that. Yeah.
He got around and he was explosive. He had a couple explosive runs. That was great to see.
You nailed that one in the pregame show. You said, "Look, if I'm going to see anything, this is I'm paraphrasing, but you said." Okay. If I want to take anything from this game, it's that Kenneth Gainwell gets a chance to run the ball and shows you some explosion. And you, not because, why not? You spun the wheel and that's what it came up with, but because we know the situation facing the Eagles going forward. And that's when they play next week in the playoffs, there's probably not going to be Miles Sanders on the field based on what we know. And Jordan Howard, again, is still dealing with a shoulder injury. You might need Kenneth Gainwell to play a bigger role. So
I'd put Sanders in. Yes, I put Sanders in a very questionable category at best right now. We'll see. We'll learn more. He's definitely not out. We'll find out. But they need some juice at running back. They need to, and it was really good to see Gainwell do that, because, quite frankly, if Sanders doesn't play against their opponent, then the other thing is we will have the first word on their opponent. We were lucky to we talked to someone who's doing advance from another team who's doing advance on. All that team's possible opponents, and the guy that was doing it was able to give me some notes on some of the opponents that he'd already got information on. So the good thing is we'll have some early scouting notes for Monday on their opponent. So It'll be a fun show. But overall, they competed as hard as they could. They did what they could. The reality was, because how about Corey Clement being the man in the fourth quarter? He's kind of the number two right now, unless Pollard's got the foot injury, the plantar fascia injury. So when Pollard's not available, Clement is the Super Bowl hero. But it was kind of what I expected from the Eagles offense. Actually, a little better that they, as you said, they really ran the ball way better than I thought they would with these scrubs off of the offensive line. I'm sorry to call them scrubs, but they're backups. The guys would never see the light of day. But the good thing is they did, in case something happens. They're getting practical playing experience against the ones, as you said, the Dallas's defensive unit, the guys who are able to play, who are starters, they played. And they hung in there for the run.
All right, hold that thought for a second. I want to tell people to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code ITB. If you bet just $5 on any football team, college or pro, this weekend, or even Monday night, I suppose, in the championship game, right? You'll get $200 in free bets if that team is victorious. That's promo code ITB. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook. Got to be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So just quickly before we get out of here, I know they came on late, as they should have. I'm watching the first quarter and a half thinking Dallas might be in trouble. I'm really surprised defense. I know they don't have Parsons. I know they don't have, I guess Gallimore. Did he play? I can't even remember if Gallimore played, but
yeah, he did.
He did. Sure. Okay, so it's really they didn't have Parsons, they didn't have Kirsten, they didn't have Diggs, and that's big. I'm not trying to downplay that, but again, it's not the Eagles starters out there. It was backups for the most part, and it took them a good quarter to get going. Do you think Dallas is in trouble here?
I I see. The thing is, because they were going up against backups. I don't know what Dan Quinn was trying to do. It's hard to say. Um, who knows what the energy was like, because they saw who was on the field, and from a mental standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
to me it would be hard. And I understand that.
I suppose so.
Yeah,
But I
mentally,
would think it would
really
be
hard.
embarrassing though if you can't stop the run against backups.
I
feel
hear
like,
you. Look, I hear you. Gainwell really ran the ball well. He had 4 or 5 runs where you go, man, that was not explosive. But coaches call explosive runs 5 yards or more, and he had some in this game, no question.
Yeah. So, all right. So you don't think Dallas is in that trouble? You're
No,
not.
I don't.
Okay. All right. I mean, you're not saying they're automatically going to beat the Rams. You're just saying you expect them to still be, or whoever.
Yeah, I expect them to get their mindset right. It's hard. It's like you're playing against a team that's treating it like a preseason game. And I understand you have a bunch of your starters, not all of them, but you have a bunch of your starters in there. But from a mental standpoint, like where you're saying they should just come out like all guns blazing and just say, hey, hell, we should kill these guys.
Right.
It's not easy to do that
It's not
mentally.
that simple, probably. Okay.
Yeah.
We shall see what's going on. I was a little bit concerned. Well, not I care, but I just looked at them. I saw Zeke kind of struggle to get his footing going until the second quarter, and I'm like, wow, if they came out like this against the Rams, forget it. Because if they can't run the ball, and we talked about that in the pregame show, they haven't been running the ball as well lately, and that's really their bread and butter to set up what they do in the passing game. They don't run the ball well. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for them going forward. But that's their issue to worry about. Eagles, they're well rested. They'll be healthy whenever they play. We'll find out on Sunday who their opponent is. And then, of course, Monday morning is when our next podcast drops. So we'll have a little bit of everything. We'll very briefly talk about this past game, maybe have a little film on some guys who stood out, get into their situation. Obviously, a lot of guys still have to come off the COVID list.
Yeah.
And then we will start to talk about their playoff game and move forward and get through a real exciting time for Inside the Birds, because last year there was none of this. So we're excited about it and ready to get going. All right, for Adam Caplan, I'm Geoff Mosher. You've been watching Inside the Birds TV. We'll catch you on the next one.